Okay. Good. All right. I think we're ready to go for the afternoon. My signal seems a little bit low, though, a little bit slow. Not quite sure why. Hang on. Dun, dun, dun. Yep, it should be fine. Must be on my end. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is make sure that I can follow everybody on Facebook. We've got our groups going. Ha! I found us. Yay. Good. That's all set up. Now we're just waiting for Tim. And before Tim gets here, we're going to, hey, Kimberly, nice to see you. Before Tim gets here, because he's not here yet, although I've talked to him within the last half hour, we're going to pull a card because actually I already pulled a card. I pulled a card before we got on. And the card that I pulled was Porcupine. Yes, you watched the one with Jenny this morning. Wasn't that awesome? Okay, so I pulled the Porcupine card before, although I can't find it now. But this is what I got. Bum, bum, bum. Porcupine. Here we go. Renewed sense of wonder. How perfect is that, right? If I'm going to be, talking on this challenge and being a part of all of this, especially this afternoon, I need to have a renewed sense of wonder. I've always found these cards are almost totally spot on. And this one is no different. It's all about being good-natured, shuffling along at our own pace, doing the things in the way we like to do it. It looks like Tim is here. So let's admit Tim. Hi, Tim. Just so you know, we're already live streaming. So you're already visiting.
I'm in.
I don't know why I can't hear you.
Oh.
Oh, now I can. Now I gotcha.
Okay, cool. I'm here.
I had it on mute before. Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
In the middle of the day, how exciting. So I pulled a card because I like to pull tarot cards. I use animal cards myself before I do things. And it's been just a really cool day so far. And I pulled Porcupine earlier, which is about a renewed sense of wonder.
Huh?
Because I'm super excited to talk to you because you are... you're someone who was forced to be vulnerable by choice. You chose to bring out your innermost soul and put it out there for public consumption. Yeah. Being a sensitive person who had the ability to make the art in the first place. And so that's why I really wanted to talk to you today.
Yeah.
Because authenticity and vulnerability is like a really big deal. So I'm going to pull an animal card to see how the conversation's going to go. And it's just like, as you can see, it's very casual.
I'm hoping for Bobcat.
Huh?
I'm hoping for Bobcat.
You're waiting for Bobcat?
Yeah, I keep getting
we
Bobcat.
got Crow.
Oh, I got Crow. I'll take Crow.
Love Crow.
Yeah, I see
I'll take Crow.
Yeah.
What do you like? What do you like about Crow?
From what I understand, it's kind of like about taking control, kind of like taking a position of authority in your own life, kind of to be taking charge of yourself. I had the shadow of a crow right on my back once as I was going on the trail, and it was a really particular time when I was like trying to step it up and kind of get things together.
So it's really meaningful at the time. Do you
Yeah, I mean,
do you
I was
dial into that stuff? I mean, I do. I'm totally connected with that stuff. I live in the woods and all of it.
yeah, I do this hike repeatedly. That I kind of grew up camping a lot and things, and now I live in Los Angeles, but I live on the outskirts of LA and right up against a hillside, and there's a big, amazing hike that I do, at least once a week and sometimes a couple of times, and it's grueling and it's a great view, and there's a big old teepee at the top, and it's just incredible. And
So
I
is that how you survive LA? Because I know I live near Chicago
yeah
and I can visit. I can't stay there because the energy's too, there's too much. I'd never be able to rest, you
yeah
know? I don't know how you do it because you have to have a sensitive nervous system, I assume.
yes yeah well, I mean, I live in a pretty tranquil little corner of Los Angeles. It's way out on the outskirts, near a mountain, so I have lots of space around me. I have my own studio in the house, and that's where I am. And it's, I close the door and be an introvert.
I had to get a whole storefront. So I've got this whole, it's like a mini apartment. My husband's like, we could get Wi-Fi to the house because he's been working from home because the whole pandemic thing. He's like,
Yeah.
we could get high-speed Wi-Fi. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I am going into work and you're not going to stop me.
That's, yeah. I have a gallery space too. So I need that as well. I'm very demanding.
Sure, because it's crazy, and I've had to work even harder. I mean, it's kind of been a balancing act. This last year, I've learned, I really got the science behind regulating your nervous system and how that takes all the stress chemicals off your body and suddenly you blossom like a tulip.
Yeah.
Those tools have kept me moving forward even when the rest of the world around me and the people around me are crashing to the ground in a burning, fire of death. So it's really been interesting because if I were me 5 years ago, there's no way in hell I would be able to pull my life together because I'd be constantly sludging through all of the feelings around me as well as my own feelings around me and be frozen and not get anything done.
Yeah.
But because, I was able to finally put all those pieces together and be like, aha, this is how it works. Just like you getting the support that you get. You're like, this is how it works. This is what I need to do. And then I was full speed ahead. I'm like, let's get this off my system. I don't need this anymore. And it's been weird because it's almost been, people are looking at me in my life and being like, who are you? This isn't the person I know. I like you better, but I don't know if I should let my guard down or not because you're a different person.
That's interesting. I feel like I'm, I had tools for survival for a long time that were the wrong kind of tools and kept my sensitivity kind of submerged. There were ways of preventing me from, I would kind of like let loose in different ways, but I really wasn't getting into the deep, heavy abyss that I think I needed to do. And so when I quit, quit drinking, quit smoking and all that, and just got sober and kind of tore away I started with that and then started peeling away the kind of emotional tricks that I was doing to get myself out of that deep place. And just started letting myself go there. I feel like I'm searching for what you're talking about, because now I'm just a raw nerve walking around, I feel like I'm just like, everything. I feel everything so much now. If I get into a funk, I really have to like look at it. I can't let it slide. I can't go chug a beer, I just can't do it anymore. So I have my moments where I freak out, and it's tough, man. It's tough, especially in the middle of all this wackiness.
The hardest part, really, because once I started to figure out, oh, you mean you're supposed to take care of yourself when you're stressed out? Oh, you're
Yeah.
supposed to hug a tree when you're in a bad mood.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's what I'm supposed to do? Well,
Yeah.
that's a novel kind of idea. And once I figured that out, I started teaching people, the havening and the TAT points and how do you regulate your nervous system. I watched myself go through this change process, and all of these women I was working through, because, they were willing to be kind of experiments. They're like, yeah, let's do it. And so I'm coaching them through regulating their nervous system, and they go through the same thing. You find you become a raw nerve because you are more authentic, because you don't have all of those walls that are keeping things like tightly locked behind the door. Those walls are like thinner. And so now the authentic rage that's been sitting there waiting to be expressed from the decades of being minimized and helpless and and all of that crap, the rage is right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you're in the middle of it and you're like, what the hell is happening to me? I'm the meanest person I've ever met and I'm going crazy in my mind. It's just you're becoming authentic. You're being authentic. And
well, and I think I've exhausted most of my anger at other people. and now I'm just focusing on myself, It's like that's where I've ended up, because I think that's kind of the strongest form of poison in my life, is the self-deprecating anger. The story that I tell myself about who I am, that I got from, watching myself my whole life and going, this guy, jeez.
Right.
That's the I have, and that's what I feel like I'm trying to chip away at now. Is self-hatred.
I had this insight because Tim and I are on a group once a week, and magically the whole group's really allowed ourselves to get close to each other and deeper into other people's experiences. And one of the things you talked about was, fuck you, Tim. And I thought about that because I've got a friend who's super creative, super artistic. He's ADHD. He's got this other stuff going on. And I sat there thinking, you mean most of his life, people were probably turning to him and saying, fuck you. And until it got absorbed of someone turning, hearing that in your voice, that someone's always going to be turning to you and saying, fuck you, because you're bringing out information or insights or seeing things or reactions or having future visions or whatever, because you don't fit into the norm. Everybody was always attacking you.
I think that what most people were saying, which what I took in, was not fuck you. It was more like, oh, this guy. Like, oh boy, I don't know. We can't count on this guy. This guy doesn't have his shit together. He's a mess. Don't even, like that's what I got. And in response to that, I said, fuck you. And fuck you, Tim, became like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you all. I hate you. I don't need you. I don't need anything, And
I did the same thing. I did.
That's
it was like, you're going to underestimate me?
Yeah. Yeah. And I spent so much of my life battling to show them, and that's fuck you, Tim, and he's strong. And the part of me that really needed to kind of go inside and like hug the poor little kid who was looked at and like that.
Right. Yeah. He's not quite right in the head, is he? And we don't know
Oh
if he's going to,
man.
oh my God.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
they put you in, not to pry, you don't have to answer. Did they
Okay.
put you in like any of the special classes? Like I had speech therapy.
Yeah. I went back a grade, then I went back to the grade I was in, and then I went forward a grade, and then I went into like special ed, and then I went into like genius school, you know, and it was like they didn't know what to do with me. It was like, you know, I apparently I was really smart, but I couldn't figure out how to adjust. I mean, now it's like I would just go into the class with the kids who, you know, who learn visually or something. You know what I mean? Who do things slightly differently. I'm not insane, but because I grew up when I did in the 60s and 70s, it was, you know, my parents were like, what are we going to do? You know, taking me to specialists and stuff. And I was just sitting there with wires stuck to my head going, oh,
Oh my God. Oh my God. That's terrible.
Is there something wrong with me? I don't know what it is. Nobody can figure me out. I'm just like, I must be a fucking mess. I know that I'm like driving my whole family crazy, and you know.
What did you think was wrong with you?
I mean, I just thought I just think the thing that I have stuck with, the thing that I say that kind of like fills out this abstraction of what's wrong with me is I'm a fuck up. I'm fucked up. There's something so wrong with me that I am like faulty beyond use. That's the kind of, you know, the big message that I think I'm still telling myself. And despite all the things that I've done to prove that wrong, it doesn't matter, because the feeling that I got, the preset, the kind of, you know, like locked in message is no good.
You know, I was studying hypnotism a while back, and as part of, you know, with body work and energy work and healing. And one of the things they talked about is this guy worked with adults who were having suicidal tendencies. And working with them under hypnosis, many of them, when they were in their mother's womb, there was the question whether to keep the child or not.
Mm.
And this tension and this idea got imprinted on them. And then when they were born, they didn't know why. They had, you know, these feelings and these thoughts that they had picked up while they were, you know, before they were even born. It's really interesting, the beliefs and ideas that are imprinted on us that we have to like shed, we have to drop because they don't exist.
Well, that's something that I've looked at. I was separated from my mom when I was born because she had a blood clot in her leg, and she was, you know, wasn't able to have me apparently with her all the time. So I was kept in a nursery at the hospital and brought to her. She insisted on breastfeeding me, you know, back then when nobody did that. But, you know, they would bring me to her, and she would breastfeed me, and then they take me away, you know, and you know, I've always known that about myself, and I've always thought, I wonder if that did anything. And now I'm like, oh fuck yeah, of course it did something.
Of course it did. It totally
Like,
messed with your head.
2 weeks of my life on this planet were spent being taken away from my mother over and over and over again with no understanding, obviously, of what was going on, you know, and that's, you know, from what I've studied about, you know, ADD and you know, separation anxiety and all the things that are kind of like big themes in my life. You know, those are pretty good ways to do it to a person. You know.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's crazy. And the hardest ones are when it's passed down generation to generation. So like when I found out that all the women on my father's side of my generation had some sort of sexual violence against them, you know, either as children or when they were in their young adults, you know, you kind of go, wait, we have a target on our back. Why do we have a target on our back? And then you start questioning and being like, no, there's a pattern here, and it's not because we're bad people.
Right. Yeah.
There's something else that's going on, and I need to figure out how that affected us and how to reverse it. And that really, unconsciously, that's been my drive ever since I was a kid. Like, something's happened. How am I going to reverse this? And just trying to acknowledge that I was having these experiences inside of me, which made no sense. And everyone just looked on me as if there was something wrong with me. And I looked upon me as if there was something wrong with me, because I had so many emotions rocketing around me that I couldn't control. And they would make me do things that were embarrassing, like pee myself in public or, whatever. And there was this huge gap between who I knew I was and what my body was doing to me. And I was going to find a way to not be so reactive inside of me. I was going to find a way to figure it out, and nothing was going to stop me. And that's why after, 48 years or whatever, I finally said, okay, I think I figured out how this works.
Yeah.
After obsessing about it, I figured out how it works. And that's kind of what this whole challenge is about, is we talk to each other so that things come up, so that when they come up, we can calm down our own nervous systems and finally get the trauma and the misunderstandings and the patterns that get in our way, to finally get them off of our body so we don't get hijacked by them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I was so glad you were here, because you were a perfect representation of everything I believe in.
Wow.
So here's the question. Okay, so you feel like you've always, like, there's been something wrong with you, and yet you have found some way to continue to authentically express yourself through your art, even though the emotional drama that is around it in some way must have affected you. I mean, how do you work through the insecurities and the fears and still put out art that is effective, as in it makes people think and talks to them?
That's a good question. I think that there's always the question in my mind is always, is this authentic? And I think there's a lot of searching in my work. It at some point I kind of put it out there that I was more interested in growth as a person than selling a lot of paintings. And I questioned whether or not that was a real true statement, because it felt like, this is what I ideally think an artist should be. This is me kind of like, frost whatever, guessing at what I think, at what I really believe in. And I'm not sure. But that's what I attempt to do, is I attempt to make art from a place of, what do I want most deeply right now? What do I want to see? Because it's visual art, what do I want to look at? And I believe that there's some sort of, mystic channeling service that that is saying, okay, if you're open to this, if you just open yourself and just do the thing that the universe is pumping through you, then other people are going to care. Other people are going to get something out of it. Other people are going to feel something. And it's like, that requires true openness, I think. That requires me to spend a lot of time examining myself and just breaking down as many barriers as I can to sinking deeply into my feelings. And you know, there's a lot of things that I've done to get there, but most of it is just consciousness. You know, willingness to go, oh, what is that? Like, what is that feeling right now? You know, when I'll just feel a sinking, like sometimes I'll just wake up in the morning and I'll be like, ah, something just happened. I don't know what it is. And I'll just have to sit there and kind of, you know, look at it, and I'll do visualizations or whatever, you know, and a lot of times I don't really get to it in a way that makes sense. And then I'll go and make a painting and, you know, work all day. And you know, like a year later, I'll look at a painting that I did and I'll just go, oh God, look at all that anxiety in there about that thing that I was dealing with at that time. I remember that. And then it's all clear. And so, you know, to me, that says, okay, the trust that I have in my work to channel the energy of my soul is real. That's a real necessity. And so that's my goal. That's my life, you know, is being as pure and honest with my work as I can be, letting it come out and letting it do its work, you know?
Yeah. No, I'm in the same place. You know, I help people get unstuck. And, you know, there's a part of me that's like, yeah, this is all intuitive. And if I don't do it, I'm going to go crazy because as an empath, I need to be connected. You know, I love those feelings of connecting with people, and it has to be in a way that feels good, because otherwise I'm going to get stressed out, you know, and I'm going to get worried. So it has to feel good. It has to feel good for everybody. And so I'm just going to channel what I do. I'm just going to say or do what I feel intuitively, like on these calls. You know, I don't prepare for them. It's just like, okay, let's feel our way through this. I think the hardest part for me was honoring that my process is different from other people's processes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had to stop trying to think that my best would come through somebody else's system or somebody else's ideas, and really respect the fact that I've got my own unique way of expressing myself, and that I have to almost figure that out so that I can support me. I can be a support system to me rather than someone who keeps beating me up and saying, why aren't you fitting into the box over there? Which I'm not supposed to fit in. I'm supposed to do what I do the way that I do it, because that's how I'll be the greatest version of me. Does any of that make sense?
That makes total sense. I mean, I think that's, you know, the art world is very, very much a minefield of judgment and you know, shoulds. People are always telling you, oh, you should do this, you should do that. And you know, if you want to have a career with art galleries and things like that, you have to really kind of like, you know, watch what you do. And yeah, it's like, it's very, I think it's difficult to have your own path in anything, but you know, art, in my experience, is just very limiting. It's very, you know, as far as a business, it's like, man, if you really want to do your own thing, you're probably gonna have to do it on your own. And that's what I do. You know, I just do it all myself. So
Mm-hmm.
It's hard.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. It was like I can't work for anybody else, because then the work won't be authentic, you know. And I couldn't suffer not being as authentic as I could be, because I was already suffering so much. You know, I had to do things which kept me feeling good. Like, I felt I had no choice. I'm like, I am so anxiety ridden and so sensitive to everything around me. I have to live in the woods, period. End of story, or I will go crazy. You know, so a lot of choices like that were made out of necessity to try to keep my head above water, because inside, even though I could still be successful outside, inside I just felt like I was wasting my life because I didn't feel good. And it wasn't that, oh, I've got this disease or that disease. It was just that I always felt so heavy, and I always felt like I could mornings were hard and I couldn't move well. And, it was all that stress on my system that, that I'd had all my life that I didn't know what to do with until I really started to be like, oh yeah, you need to make a painting when you're anxious, Tim.
Yeah. Go for a hike or work out.
Right.
Or
right.
Yeah. I've got a lot of solutions now,
Yes.
God.
Yeah. Well, I know I would wait, to do the thing that would make me feel best, because it's like I had something to prove.
Yeah.
I had to prove I was strong enough that I didn't need the thing that I really wanted to do.
Yeah. I think the thing that holds me back is lately it's just like the weight of getting up, it's like the more I read about depression, the more I realize, oh geez, this is where I'm at right now. Is they say that doing the things that will make you feel better is the hardest thing, but it's like a snowball. Once you get up, once you do a little stretching and make your morning coffee and feed the kid and get moving, then everything's fine. But man, the 2 hours sometimes of laying in bed when I woke up at 5 and my kid's gonna wake up at 7, and I just lie there going, oh, what am I gonna do about this thing? Like worrying about something, and I just go down the rabbit hole with stress. And now, I've gotten good at, well, I'm getting better at like going, okay, I'm not going back to sleep. That's fine. I'm going to get up and I'm going to make a painting, or I'm going to draw, or I'm going to go for a walk, or I'm going to do something, dig in the yard or whatever. I'm going to do something productive right now with this time, instead of just sitting here and going, why, how am I going to do this?
Right. Because it feels like you're wasting your life. And
Yeah.
it's hard to break through, because for me, my body was always just like, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
I couldn't eat because my stomach was too knotted up. I'm like, no, I can't enjoy food because I'm always stressed out. So my stomach's always anxious.
Yeah.
I really didn't enjoy life. And for the last year, I really, soon, right around the time that I met Ken and we started the group, that's when I really got all of that stuff sorted out. Like, oh, this is where it fits in, and if you do this, you'll get better. So I've been going for gangbusters, and just everything. Like, somebody's following me too close on the road, I calm my nervous system down. If if I'm watching something that I feel, oh no, not me, I couldn't do that, I do something to calm my nervous system down. And by doing that, it's very cool what it does to the body, because the body finally gets rid of all that stress that it's been harboring, and you're able to detox it, and you're able to feel lighter and get things done and be more productive and think clearer. The very thing that you didn't want to do, make art, was the very thing that would save you.
Yeah. Yeah. And the the difference in my health is astounding. I kind of haven't really been thinking about it in terms of like it's going to make me look better, but I go to get in the shower and I go, oh look at that, like.
Right, right. You're like, I don't look so bad for how old I am. This isn't bad. I'm okay.
Yeah. That's a shocker, man. And it's like, well, my diet has changed, and my exercise routine has changed, and my, intake of poison has changed, and
right,
the positive mental attitude. So many of those things have changed, and it's like sometimes it just feels like, oh, I'm a raw nerve now. Great, what do I get?
right.
What else? There and so there's things that, I realize every once in a while. I go, oh, I haven't really freaked out in a little while, or I haven't gotten super mad at anybody in a while, or I haven't had horrible constipation or something.
Right,
It's like,
because it's physical. We were totally
yeah.
talking about that on our first call today, about children in the chocolate industry in Africa who were slave labor, and how eating that chocolate can affect us emotionally. And that affects our immune system and our, I mean, just all those weird connections between our body and the bigger picture we're a part of.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the more sensitive, the more open I am to who I really am and my real feelings, the more they come, and the more I see little things like that, like, oh, this thing, I ate this thing yesterday and now I feel this. I mean, I never felt any response to food. I never knew what food did to me for most of my life until I was 48 or 50 or something like that. I think all of a sudden I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I get it. I knew I got hungover. I knew I got wired if I drank too much coffee, blah, blah, blah. But it's like these subtle things now, I'm like, whoa,
it's a whole system. And when you're in your sympathetic nervous system, you're like a totally different person. Your system works completely differently than when you're in your parasympathetic and everything's aligned. I mean, it's like night or day. And we spend so much time in that fight or flight state that we think that's who we are. And we spend our whole lives just trying to cope with those feelings when that's not who we are at all. We're really supposed to be that balanced, level, grounded. It's supposed to be 80% of the time you're supposed to be in your parasympathetic, which is that in alignment, authenticity, and 20% in fight or flight. So you still need fight or flight, but it's like it's been reversed. People have spent 80% in fight or flight and only 20% being okay. On Sundays when they go to church and they sing Amazing Grace, for 10 minutes, they're okay. But it needs to be flipped where you're okay most of the time, and you only save the fight or flight stuff for when you need to stand up for yourself, when you sincerely need that boost.
That sounds great.
That's where we're going, and that's where you're going. You're getting a new set point in your body, and so you're going to feel like a raw nerve, but as you can tell, it gets easier. But in the meantime, you're going to feel like Tim the Dragon Man, because everything's just right there. You're going to get irritated easier. You're going to get frustrated easier. But you know what? Some of those situations call for you to be that person, because that's how someone needs to be communicated to. They need that message. And being okay with authentically saying those things, because it actually helps with communication. That's where you're going next, are healthier relationships, because you speak your mind and you still have some control over it. It doesn't control you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I think the state that I'm in lately is I think I spend a lot of time in fight or flight, and I'm learning how to pull myself out of it, but it feels like I'm in it 90% of the time. And then I find myself, painting, and that's when I'm in perfect harmony with the universe. It's like,
yeah.
And I wish I could just do that all the time, but I have a family and I have a life, and I have a yard that needs to be taken care of, and I have things that I need to sit and worry about, apparently.
They need to come to the surface of your mind. So,
Yeah.
okay, so we're going to do this together, because in this 7-day thing that I do with everybody, the whole trick is you listen to somebody, and if you hear something that makes you feel a little anxious or concerned, or even just for the hell of it, you do something to regulate your nervous system. Yeah. So would you haven with me? And havening is where we just stroke our arms 20 times. That's it. And everybody who's watching, do this. It's always good to clear. You ready? We'll do it together. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So do you feel a little more level?
Yeah. Very meditative.
When you do that, when you're stressed out, that 90% of the time, when you do that, it brings you back to that normal, that balanced state. It makes your brain go into delta waves, which is that calming in the flow. So if you do that, anytime you notice yourself feeling depressed or anxious or wound up, you know, I'll go to the bathroom or I'll go get a snack from the kitchen or whatever, and I'll just do that because it brings me back to level. And it doesn't hurt anything. And what it does is it tells your body it's safe. And because your body feels safe, it's finally able to detox the cortisol and the stress that you've got in your body. So sometimes the side effects are sweating, sometimes your breathing changes, sometimes you feel more congested, sometimes your digestion may change a little bit, sometimes you might sweat. It's because it's your body finally detoxing all those stress chemicals that they've been holding on to, thinking that you've been in danger. And when you physically do this, it tells your body you're not in danger, and you're finally able to finish that loop. You're not still waiting for the world to come to an end. Instead, you're saying, I know you think the world's coming to an end, but it's okay. We're okay. And then your body can finally relax.
All right.
So it's pretty cool. And we do this. So during the week, every day is a different topic. And so if women watch things and something triggers them, they go, oh, no, not me. I could never do that. I could never be like him. I could never be so blah, blah, blah. You know, they'll say that, but we calm ourselves down. We regulate the nervous system. And you're able to see kind of past the emotion to the understanding and insight of, oh, yeah, he was just like me. And he deals with the same things that I do. He just is open to a creative source. And that's where a lot of his success comes from, is staying open to a creative source. I can do that. You know, so it goes from, oh my God, to, oh yeah, this is possible. It's
Beautiful.
cool stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to you on Friday again, because then we'll see where we're at, and we'll see where the women are at. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite you into the private Facebook group. And then if you could look at your video and see what all the women said underneath, because they've been commenting while you've been there, and just like chat with them a little bit. You know, they want to know about your art. They want to know how you've done things. So if you've got questions for Tim, just put them in the comment section and he'll get back to you. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. So here's the next question. And it's okay if you don't have anything. We really like to encourage the women to engage, all of us, because when you're part of a community, this is how this stuff works, because we're all supporting each other. So every day, the women who communicate the most, who text, who support, who send pictures, who do all that stuff, they get to pick one of the things that our speakers kind of are saying, yeah. So we've got chocolate. We've got a belly buddy that helps with stomach anxiety. Do you have anything cool that you could, that women could be like, yeah, I totally would love a signed blah, 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 you know, piece of paper from Tim?
Yeah, sure. Got stuff.
So they could, like anything that would motivate women to respect and love themselves.
You mean something to send to people, or I
Yeah,
don't.
something to send to people.
Yeah. Well, how does that work? What do? You
Well, you
kind of.
kind of say, you know what? I've got this postcard that's been laying around for 20 years. I could
Uh-huh.
sign it and give it to the woman who engages the most today.
Oh,
And
I
then
see.
they say, oh my God, I totally want that postcard signed by
Right.
Tim.
Right.
And, they'll be like, I'm a wonderful woman. You're a wonderful woman. Isn't this wonderful? Oh my God, I have a question. Here's a picture of my sacred space. They'll do
Yeah.
all that. And because they'll want you, they'll feed your ego.
That's
So,
great.
yeah, what kind of random thing do you think that you could send women because they really vibe with you?
I mean, I make a lot of prints. Um,
Okay.
you know, silkscreen prints and kind of interesting little art stuff. I make records and books and all kinds of things. So I mean, I would say a print would probably be the most like
Okay.
symbolic.
So
Yes.
that's perfect. That's exactly it. And you'll kind of like intuitively just like choose something.
Yeah.
So Tim will intuitively choose one of his pieces of art for you. I think that'll be really exciting. I know I would totally engage because I love art. I'd be like, yeah, I could get something from Tim. That's so totally cool. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll let you know. I'll
Okay.
let you know who totally wanted it.
Yeah. Give me
Um,
an address.
yeah, I think that's it. I
Okay.
can't think of anything. Can you?
Great. No, I don't think so.
You're such a good sport. I really appreciate it. You came on, you didn't know what the hell was going on. You just, you were easygoing enough to just have a conversation with me. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'm also used to not knowing what's going on. So,
Well, that's
yeah.
where your genius comes from.
Yeah. I think I've grown comfortable with the theory that I don't have to know what's going on in order to really engage with something. So.
Yes, I agree totally. And that's why I love working with you. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You.
So I'll get you into the group. Say hi
Okay.
to all the ladies. And
Well.
I'll definitely see you tonight,
Yep.
probably, and then Friday. Okay.
Yep. Sounds good.
Okay. Thanks,
All right.
Tim. All right.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so in 15, 16 minutes. Oh, yeah, Kimberly, you want to be part of the artist group. Okay, yeah, I'll see if I can, I'll check in with Ken and see if we can get you in the group. So in 16 minutes, it will be Monique, the pediatrician, Dr. Monique Lovechild. She's really cool. I've known her for decades now, I think. And Rochelle, the interior designer. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful conversation. And I think that's it. I'll see you guys in 15 minutes.